A lot of us quietly measure our worth by how much money we are or are not bringing into the household. Sometimes we do this consciously, sometimes we do it unconsciously. And to be honest with you, I was not expecting that I also felt this way in the beginnings of my relationship, but I did. And that led me to an uncomfortable for me conversation with my husband. And in this video, I want to share the ins and outs of that conversation, what we had to break down, what we had to understand, and how that one conversation made it easier for the rest of our time together. It did not mean that those feelings didn't come back up, but what it does mean, and what it did mean, was that we had something to anchor to. We had something to hold on to that could ground us in those moments so we didn't stay in that space. But I was the one that was the catalyst for the conversation because what was coming up for me. So, story time. I am an entrepreneur and I've been an entrepreneur for most of my that's most of my relationship. I can't say most of my relationship. Maybe I can. I feel like it's most. But in the beginning, I was, teaching and doing other things. But for much of my relationship, I've been working to be an entrepreneur, working on what that was going to look like. And there's a financial fluctuation that comes with that. Not for everyone, but for many people, there's a financial ebb and flow that comes with deciding that you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to follow that path. And my husband had a traditional job at the time, and I was building a business. And for the whole first year, it wasn't making any money. Then it was making a little bit of money. Like it was a snail's crawl situation. And I had a plan, and I did. I invested in help, and I wasn't trying to bootstrap it. And that help did help, but there was still time that needed to come in for some sort of stability and some sort of predictability. And even at my height, my husband, his earning potential was just outmatched mine at the time. So I was not feeling so great, especially when I was not bringing in much or bringing in anything. And I was very surprised that I felt this way. I was very surprised that I was feeling guilt, that I was feeling shame, that I was feeling inadequate. And I was like, what is this? And I had to confront the fact that it was me attaching my worth and value in the household to how much money I was or was not bringing in. And my husband was not, quote unquote, making me feel this way. There wasn't a sense of like, oh, you need to, it wasn't, he wasn't having those conversations with me or telling me these things. And I was still feeling them on my own. And so I approached him and I was like, so I feel bad that I'm not bringing in more. And he just looked baffled. Like, what are you even saying right now? What do you mean you feel bad about? I'm like, you're working really hard. I'm working really hard, but it's taking me longer to get in a financial space that I can really contribute, in the way that you're contributing, at least meet you here. And I don't like this feeling. I feel like I am like failing us in this space, and you're having to take up so much, and I'm not able to meet you there. And he was like, you know what he was like? You know what he said to me? I'm paraphrasing because this is a while ago, but we talk about this moment often. He was basically like, I can only do what I do because you do what you do. At the time, we had our daughter, and she was a toddler, 2, 3 ish. I do remember that. And I sat with that for a second. He was like, I can only do what I do and work as hard as I work because of what you do. You are, you went to, school, you taught, you had a baby, you nurturing and taking care of that baby while you were learning to be a coach. You launched a coaching business and you're taking care of this baby while I'm working. If I did not have you doing the things that you were doing, if you that was not your choice to do this and to move in this way, I would have to be spending money and thinking about the homeschooling and the childcare and all of the things if you were not already doing what you're doing. Essentially, you are bringing in because this was my kind of playing back what he was saying. Essentially, I was bringing in value that had nothing to do with money. He could only do what it is that he was doing because I was doing what I was doing. And that was huge for me in that moment, because I don't even think until he said that I truly realized I was attaching my worth and value to money. And I wasn't looking at all the other ways that I was bringing value into the relationship. And we do this because I'm going to tell you something, right? I'm going to share this because I know it's somewhere in the background, probably of your mind already. A lot of times we attribute that issue with money and worth and value to men. We will attribute the messaging that we get around providing and provision. We will attribute that to men, and we will attribute more nurturing to women. And yet, as a woman, I was the one who was like, my worth is attached to, not saying this out loud because I didn't realize it, right? But in what I was saying, I was attaching my worth to the lack of financial, the lack of the finances that I was bringing into the house. I was doing that because the reality is the messages that we get around money come to all of us and affect all of us. So if you are looking to if you're looking to a man to provide and you are thinking that their value and their worth is attached to their ability to provide monetarily, or if you're looking to a woman and attaching her value to her net worth and what she can provide and bring into the household is the most impressive thing, like that's what makes her impressive and makes her a boss and makes her amazing and all of that. If you're attaching her value and worth to her net worth, then you are going to do the same thing to yourself. Money is fluid. So in those moments where you have the ebb within the flow, you're going to feel bad about yourself. Because if we have the messaging to attribute these things to our partners, then this is the foundation of our thinking then, right? And so we're going to attribute it to ourselves as well. And that's what I was doing without realizing it. But the reality is I did not attach my husband's worth to how much money he was bringing in. We weren't bringing in buckets when we first got together. I attributed his worth to his character and his work ethic and how he treated other people and how he wanted to help other people and how talented his mind was. He was so self-taught with so much and he could understand how things worked so easily. I'm like, that's a gift. That's a talent. I saw that value in him, how he can run around and play with our kids. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel like running. You know what I'm saying? I valued that. And I valued that he brought that to the table for our children, then one child. But I didn't even look at that. But for myself, I did, which means somewhere along the line, I got the messages. And I thought that that made me a boss and that made me like amazing. Because look what I could do. I can raise these kids. I can build this business. I can bring in this money. I can do all of these things. And I had to be taken down a bit. And it wasn't that I was high in the clouds. It was quite the opposite. I felt all of that just inadequacy around it. And in that conversation, he opened the door for me to realize that I'm bringing a lot to the table. in terms of the value that I bring into the household. I had an understanding. I want this to be clear because I feel like this is an important distinction. I had an understanding of what I was bringing to the table in terms of my character. I knew that. I knew and felt confident in who I was as a person and how I engaged in my relationship. But in terms of the practicality and the logistics of running a household, because money is one of the values, money is a tool and a resource for all the things in this society right now. Let's before we go to back to a barter system, that's what it is. We have to pay our bills, we have to put food on the table, we have to make sure that we have a roof over our heads. We, there are things that just cost money, and so that is definitely part of the value. And what else? And so I could understand at the characteristics that I brought to the space in terms of bringing myself and who I was to the table, but in terms of logistics of everyday have necessities and what we needed and what we had to have to just keep things running for ourselves and for our daughter, I was like, oh, I contribute nothing to this space, or almost nothing, or not much, or not enough. And he was like, hold up. But you nurture and watch our kids. You make sure they're fed. You make sure they have meals. You make sure that they come and see me on my lunch break. Well, not them. It was really my daughter, but you make sure she comes and sees me on my lunch break so that I can bond with her during the day. And I'm not just a evening and weekend daddy. Like you do all of these things that allow our household to flow while I am out of the physical house. In addition to building a business and seeing clients in the evening and working on the weekends to create your systems and to take your coaching calls and all of that. And I was like, well, okay. And then let's put the thing down, flip it and reverse it. In the moments where he was feeling the strain and struggle of the ebb and flow of finances, and where we might have been in a state of financial struggle, or things are tighter, and he started to wane and question all of the things, I can then bring to him all of the ways in which he provides that have nothing to do with money. Provision is larger than the Benjamins, than the dollars and cents. Provision is that, and providing a listening ear, providing a safe space where you can be held emotionally and physically without judgment. Provision is making sure that when I see that you've had a tough day, that without you having to push me, I'm able to say, I've got a little bit more energy than you today, so I'm going to pick up where you left off, and I'm going to pick up the slack so that you can have what you need, because clearly you're having a day. Provision is saying, hey, I have vision and goal for our relationship. How do we map this out together and make sure that we're good? Provision is, you have this dream of starting your own business. How can I support you in this? I told y'all in another video how we we put our car up for sale and all that, just so he can like support my business. We had 2 cars. Okay, that was asterisks in that video, but just that sticks with me as such the depth of support that he had. And he has had business after business. He's had a few businesses that he started, and I was supporting him there too. So provision is supporting your partner when they want to make a shift, because they're probably a little nervous about it. They're probably a little scared about it. It's not something that they've done before. They're venturing out on faith, and they need somebody to say, hey, I got you. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to walk beside you. I'm going to be the net that you need when you feel like you're waning. Provision is all of those things. And yet somehow we can reduce it to dollars and cents, consciously or unconsciously. And that just diminishes so much of our worth and our value, because we are all so much more than the dollars and cents we bring into the space. And so we have to practice that in our relationship, because if there is a partner who's not bringing in as much or any money because their role is different, they got laid off, they're part-time, they're struggling with some mental health stuff for whatever their reason, and there's another partner picking up the slack, there's a stress in that. There's a stress when you are picking up financial slack. There's a stress in that. And there's a stress when you're picking up slack that isn't financial in terms of other responsibilities beyond just the money. And in those moments of stress, are we choosing to look at the other person with resentment? Like, oh, because they got the money, they think this, or oh, look at you just being lazy, you're not even bringing anything in, or da da da. Or are we choosing to be like, hey, and you also cooked and you wash the dishes and you pick up the kids to and from school and you make sure that their lunches are packed and you make sure that their clothes are out and you're doing all of these other things that allow the household to run, and without those things, that would be even more mental load on the person who is bringing in the finances, either all or most. How does it all work together? Because in practice, in our relationships, we are looking at the all and we're looking at the whole. Our tendencies as human beings, especially in relationship, is to have the tunnel vision. Oh, you didn't do this, or you don't have this. And we can bring that same tunnel vision that we can put on our partners, we can bring it on ourselves. And so this all has me reflecting on our definition of provision. And I'm curious what yours is, if you're willing to put it in the comments. But what do you look at in terms of what it looks like to provide? Because at the end of the day, the answer to your value and your worth and what you are contributing beyond the money, because like I said, I know the money is important, but I'm saying both and beyond the money. When you look at that, the answer to that question is much bigger than dollars and cents. So those were my musings and thoughts for today. I hope that this was something that resonated in terms of just reflection, taking those quiet moments to be able to reflect on how something may show up in our own relationships, how we think about ourselves and our own value and our own worth. All of that matters. Taking a deep breath and breathing into, like, am I good? Do I think that about myself? Do I think that about my partner? Is this an area in which I want us to elevate together? Let's, okay, rise and tide. Let's lift all the boats together. You got this. We got this. One reflection, one awareness, one moment of clarity, one different action at a time. We shift and change the relationship that we have with ourselves and the relationship that we have with our partners. I have done it. I continue to do it. I work with people and I coach them through doing it. Every relationship is different. And yet, we are all working on the elevation. We're all growing. Ideally, we all have the potential to grow. We have to make the choice. We have to be intentional, but we all have that potential to grow. So, yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know what you think about provision. If anything resonated with you, I would love to hear it. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, please. And if conversations like these on how we can deepen relationship with ourselves and with our partners is your vibe, then please subscribe and continue on this journey with me. I'm excited to continue on this journey with you, especially since this journey is 100 days of daily posting. I think I'm on day 39 today. Don't quote me, but I think I'm somewhere thereabout. So I'm inching my way to the halfway point. But this has been a beautiful journey to have with you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you, and I'm gonna see you tomorrow.